Hello everyone. So welcome back to another episode of Sultan, Mohsin Sports Zone. For the last couple of weeks, I've been coming live on YouTube to give my opinions on the recently concluded England and Pakistan series. So in this episode, our full attention turns to football after spending the last couple of weeks talking about cricket. So in this video, or in this episode in fact, I'll be giving my 2020 to 2021 Premier League table prediction, which will be kicking off on Saturday 12th September 2020. So obviously everyone will have different opinions on this, and some may even agree with me, but that's the exciting part of it, I guess. But before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give your opinions in the comment section below. So let's get cracking. At number 20, we'll start from bottom to top. At number 20, I personally think that Fulham will finish at the bottom of the league. I think that they haven't made any major signings so far. They haven't done that much transfer business. Overall, they did really well to get to the Premier League again. It was a great achievement for Scott Parker and his men. So obviously it'll be a tough challenge because Premier League is a completely different league to the Championship. But I think they need to spend wisely, because the last time I remember when they got promoted, they signed top players but they didn't deliver the results. So here you've got a good manager in Scott Parker, who's actually taken from a team who was a shambles when they got relegated from the Premier League a couple of years ago, to a team that actually can compete and has that fearless approach in them. So I think once they get some signings, I might see them going up the league, but I think they'll finish at the foot of the table unless they get some good signings in, but I think it's highly unlikely. So Fulham will finish 20th in my opinion. Number 19, I think Aston Villa. I was pretty surprised that Aston Villa actually survived last season, because last season was a difficult season for them obviously. They took their time settling in. They don't have that many top players except from Jack Grealish, of course. So I think they need some good signings. They need some positive signings that actually can make impact for them. The talks of Jack Grealish leaving, but I think is highly unlikely, because I think he loves his boyhood club. I think he will stay there for another season to see how they shape up, or if they get relegated or they stay up. But personally, I think they'll finish 19th, because I don't think they have a squad that's capable of staying up and actually competing with other teams, the likes of Burnley, Newcastle, West Ham, Crystal Palace, etc. So I think they need to improve their squad, the squad depth as well. I don't think they have that many top players, so if they improve their squad, they might move up, but I think they'll finish 19th. 18th, I think Crystal Palace, I think, will finish 18th in the Premier League next season, because they're a good team. They're a good team, no doubts about it, no doubts about it. But they've got a star player in Wilfried Zaha. I think they got another top player from QPR, I don't remember his name. Apparently he's a very good talent and he played well in the Championship last season for QPR, Queen's Park Rangers. So they're a good team, but I don't think they're consistent enough, because they've got the likes of Benteke who doesn't score enough goals in my opinion. They've got Ayew, who's underrated in my opinion, because I think he does a lot for the team but doesn't get the appreciation that he deserves. Zaha, obviously their star player, but I think they've got good defense, got Dan, Gary Cahill experience, but I think they need that dynamic effect, because they have Roy Hodgson as their manager, and at the end of the season, all of you guys know that Crystal Palace was struggling. They lost a lot of games consecutively, and that probably shattered their confidence going into the next season. So I think if they don't spend money on good players, then I think they'll get relegated. But it'll be a tight one between them and the next team I'm about to say. At number 17, West Brom, because I think it's going to be very tight between West Brom and Crystal Palace for the last position. I think West Brom, because will stay up and finish 17th, because they've got a good squad. I think Slaven Bilic has done a great job. Obviously at West Ham he did a good job, but that didn't end well. But I think he's got the experience in the Premier League, and they signed a couple of good players, and will sign a couple of good players in the future as well in this transfer window. So high hopes for them, but we'll see what happens. But I think they'll stay up. They'll have enough to stay up. Number 16, Burnley. Burnley are a very good team, no doubts about it. Especially their front two, and when they Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood, they've done a great job at staying up for 4 or 5 seasons. Well, more than that probably. I think 5 to 6 seasons. In the top flight, I think Sean Dyche has done a great job. But I think Burnley need to improve the squad in terms of the attacking department, because I think their youngster Dwight McNeil might leave, who's a big player for them and actually has developed into a very good player for them. So I think their squad depth is not enough in the defensive positions and in the attacking positions and in the midfield. Overall, I think they need to improve the squad depth, because obviously it's going to be a long season, and plus it's like playing back-to-back seasons in a close period of time. So I think everyone needs to have the right squad depth to make sure that they can compete for the upcoming season. So Burnley at 16. At number 15, I'll say Newcastle United. Newcastle United, I'm actually very sad for them, because there were talks of them having a financial takeover from some Saudi Arabian investors, and that didn't go through, unfortunately for them, because they had high hopes of developing into Europe's one of Europe's best once again, but it couldn't happen. It might happen in the future, but it's unlikely. But I still think that they were unlucky with injuries last season. They had a lot of injuries. I think half the squad were injured for majority of the season. So it's credit to Steve Bruce to keeping them up, really, because it's not a joke coping with that many injuries. And he could easily make the excuse about injuries, but he didn't make that many excuses, and he actually helped Newcastle stay up. But I think they have enough in their squad, and they have very good players: Matt Ritchie, Andy Carroll, Longstaff. They've got good defense as well, Jamal Lascelles. So I think they have enough. They have that leadership factor. They have that. They have something about them that I think they will stay up, and they have more quality than the teams that I just talked about below. That I think they'll finish below them. So Newcastle 15th, 14th Sheffield United, who had a brilliant season last season, but unfortunately I can't see them repeating that season for many reasons, because obviously they're a bit unlucky that both the seasons are being played very closely, because they've only had like about a month's rest or a couple of weeks rest. They had a brilliant season last season. I think Chris Wilder should have been a manager of the year, because with the squad they have, and they didn't sign that many players, and finishing, I think they finished 8th or 7th. It's not an easy feat. So I think it was a great job by Sheffield United, but I don't think they'll have the capacity or the squad depth. This is the word I'm repeating a lot, because I think for this season, because the season's playing back to back, so if you don't have the squad depth, then I think you'll struggle to compete. Even though they've got good signing, because Dean Henderson's gone to Manchester United to compete with David Gea for the number 1 goalkeeping position at Manchester United. So they've signed Aaron Ramsdale from Bournemouth for around, I think, 19 million pounds. So he's a good goalkeeper, a promising young goalkeeper, but I think Henderson's still better. But we'll see what happens, but I think they still need to improve the squad overall. In 13th, I think West Ham United. I think West Ham United is one of those teams that haven't fulfilled their potential since they've been promoted like around 9 to 10 seasons ago. I think every single manager that's come in, you see Emmanuel Pellegrini, he's got David Moyes, before they had Slaven Bilic. The owners have backed them up with money and spending money on good players. I think the manager hasn't been good enough for them, the managers that have come through, because they have a very good team that can finish in the top 8 or the top 6 in my honest opinion, because I think they're a very good team. But once they get the act together and play well as a team and gel well as a team, I think they can be a very good team and finish in the top half. But I don't think they're consistent enough. If they're consistent enough, I think they can finish in top 10. But I don't think they will, because they have their ups and downs normally. And I think they need to really sharpen up their overall squad, because even though they've got great players like Lanzini, they've got Antonio, they've got the new Hull City player that they signed, Bowen, they've got those Soucek. I think he did a really good job for them. So they've got a good squad overall, very good squad, but I don't think that they will have enough to finish in the top 10. I don't think they're consistent enough to do that. So West Ham at 13th. At number 12, you might be surprised, I'll say Brighton. because all of you might be surprised that why I'm saying Brighton ahead of West Ham, Burnley or Sheffield United, because I think Brighton have been very good. They've done very shrewd business in this transfer window, in the summer transfer window, and they signed a couple of good players. They signed Adam Lallana. I think they're signing a couple of more players as well. I'm surprised they let Shane Duffy go on loan, because I think he's a very good defender for them, and I'm surprised they let him go. Because his and Lewis Dunk's partnership could have been very good for them, could have proved to be very good for them, but I'm surprised that they let him go on loan. I forgot which club he went to, but I'm surprised for that. But they signed Adam Lallana, who's a wonderful player. I don't think he got many opportunities at Liverpool. Obviously that at Liverpool they have lots of competition, they have lots of star players nowadays, because when he went there for the first time, when Liverpool was struggling and nowhere near the top 6 in fact, or top 4, I think he was starting regularly. But when they actually fixed their team and got the players that of the standard that Klopp wanted, then they I think saw that Adam Lallana is not wanted, even though he scored important goals for them. But I think Lallana can be a brilliant signing for Brighton and can add that creativity factor for them and creating more chances to score and more brilliant deliveries in the box. He's an overall a very good all-round player. I think he left also because he wants to be in the England squad for the Euros. That will be hopefully going ahead in the next summer. So obviously his move makes sense on a personal perspective, and I hope he does well, not against Chelsea obviously, but he's a very good player. I think he's a very good signing of Brighton, and he can help them stay up and finish in a good position mid-table. At number 11, I think Leeds United. Leeds United is obviously a wonderful team. Marcelo Bielsa has done a wonderful job. Obviously, losing in the Championship playoff semi-final to Frank Lampard's Derby a couple of seasons before, and coming back from that and getting promoted shows character, determination, and the way Marcelo Bielsa actually regrouped his players and actually motivated them and used them in the right way was actually a very great sight to watch, because they played very attractive football, exciting football, and I think they'll thrive in the Premier League and finish 11th. At number 10, I think Southampton. I think Southampton had a very good end to the season last season. Ralph Hasenhuttl has done a very good job. I don't think he gets appreciated much enough. Obviously, if you get whooped 9-0 by Leicester, you won't get the appreciation. But after that, I think after losing 9-0, and I think they were in the relegation fight at the time last season, and coming back from that defeat to actually stay up and end the season well, shows character. I think you need that character, and I think it's good man management from Ralph Hasenhuttl to actually help Southampton stay up and getting his troops ready for the season ahead. Even though I think if they get a couple of more good signings, I think they can finish in the top half. I mean, not in the top half, I mean like in the top 6 if they could get some proper signings in. Because a couple of seasons before they were contenders for the top 4 or top 6. So now I think they've slipped their standards. They must build on the good end to the season they had last season, and I think they'll finish 10th. At 9th, I think Wolves. It's a tight one between Wolves and Everton, but Wolves at 9 because I think they haven't made that many signings so far. Obviously playing in Europe, they finished got knocked down in the semi-final stage. So at the Europa League, which is very good, semi-final for a team of that's played a lot over the course of the season, is a very big deal. But I think they haven't made that many signings to improve their squad. I think they need to improve the depth in the striking positions. They've got Raul Jimenez. I think they need another striker. I think they need another defender, because Conor Cody's a good defender for them, but they don't have good backup for him and Willy Bolly. So if they actually get good backups for those positions in the strike and defensive department, I think they can be proper contenders for top 6. But even though I think that tiredness will play a factor, because both of the seasons of the last season and this season are playing very close together, and I think it'll affect Wolves, and I'll think they'll finish 9th. 8th, I think Everton. Everton, I think, have done some brilliant business. Well, obviously they haven't been the signings haven't been finished off of James Rodriguez and Allen. James Rodriguez from Real Madrid and Allen from Napoli. I think they're brilliant signings from Everton. I'm surprised not any of the top clubs went for them, because even the likes of Manchester United, Man City, Liverpool couldn't sign him last season. or Spurs. So if Everton's gaining, that means he has something special, and he has a good relationship with Carlo Ancelotti. So I think they're both brilliant signings. Alan is a very good player as well. He's in my ultimate team as well on FIFA. He plays really well on that as well. But I think he's a very good player. I think I've seen a couple of matches. I've seen him playing in the Champions League. I think he's a very good defensive midfielder, but he can also attack as well. He has a very good presence, even though he's not that tall, but he has a good presence, and he's an attacking version of N'Golo Kante, so he can defend, but he knows when to attack as well. So I think Everton made some brilliant signings. Eighth may be a bit, eighth maybe even low. The way I've ranked them, they might finish top 4, top 6, but I think they've made some brilliant signings, and I think other clubs should learn from them, because I think the owners, Farhad Moshiri, is actually backing Carlo Ancelotti to make signings and see what he does when he gets backed in the transfer window, and with the players he wants. So 8th for Everton in my opinion. Number 7, Leicester. Obviously they'll be very disappointed not finishing the top 4 last season, with Chelsea and Manchester United pipping them to the top 4. Obviously they lost Ben Chilwell to Chelsea, and I think they need, which is a big loss for them, because I think he's a brilliant player, can do wonders for Chelsea. He can still improve in the defensive positions, but I think he can be a brilliant player for Chelsea in the future and over the upcoming season as well. So I think they need to fill, and also Soyuncu, their Turkish the centre back. I think there's talks of Barcelona and Real Madrid wanting him. So I think they need to actually be very smart, because in the left back position, I think they're getting Tagliafico or Matt Targett to replace Ben Chilwell. In the centre back, I think they need another 1 or 2 centre backs, because Johnny Evans is obviously very old now. He's like 33, I think, or 34. He's been playing for a long time in the Premier League. So I think you need good backup. That's where they had the problems. They don't have good squad depth. Once they have that, I think they can be good, wonderful contenders for top 4. But I don't think that they will be, because if the teams above them spend a lot of money, I think it'll be difficult for Leicester to even reach top 6. So that's why I'm saying they'll finish 7th. In the 6th position, I'll say Arsenal. Arsenal have been good in the transfer window, signed Willian from Chelsea, which I'm obviously deeply hurt about. However, they're in talks, they've signed Gabriel from Lille yesterday. He's a great defender. He's a solid defender. He has that leadership quality in him. And I think that's something which Arsenal need at the back, leadership, because they've been chipping a lot of goals at the back, and chipped a lot of goals last season. So, and obviously this has been happening for like 3 to 4 seasons. So I think them strengthening their defense should be their number 1 priority. So I think once they improve their defense, they get 1 or 2 more centre backs, they can compete for the top 4. And if they don't, and they go with the same defense and don't get another centre back or 2 more centre backs, then I don't think they'll even finish top 6. So because the other teams also have the funds nowadays. There used to be a time that the other teams never used to have funds to compete with the top teams, and it's like every club can, like from the top 10 teams, have the funds to compete with each other, which is something that never happened before in the Premier League, because it always used to be the top 4 or top 6. So I think obviously more owners are backing their managers with funds in the transfer market, and this is what happened with like the likes of Everton, Wolves, Chelsea, Manchester United. It's worked for some of them, but obviously it won't work for all. But I'll say Arsenal 6th. I'll say Tottenham 5th, maybe 4th, but 5th right now because of the signings. I think they've made some average signings, but I think signing Joe Hart is a very good signing, because he's a very good goalkeeper, especially having him as a backup. Because personally, I think that Chelsea should have had him as a number 2, or should have let Caballero go, or might have had him as a number 3, because I think Joe Hart's a very good backup, knows the Premier League. He was one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League in the past. So I think Spurs have been very clever when signing Joe Hart. I still think they need to improve their left back and striking positions. Left back, obviously they have Ben Davies, but they need someone more there. And the right back, Serge Aurier, is not the answer for them. Kyle Walker-Peters has joined Southampton, I think. So, and the striking position, I think It's too much burden on Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. I think once they need some backup for them to, especially Harry Kane, because that's why Spurs looked short on options up front. When Harry Kane got injured, Spurs looked like the average team. And if they had a top striker as their number 2 to replace Harry Kane while he was injured, then I think they would have finished top 4, challenged better for the top 4 last season. So Spurs 5th, but I think if they make a couple of more signings, they can push for the top 4. Obviously, Mourinho would definitely want to finish top 4 after either he'll do it through the Premier League or win try and win the Europa League, which he's won twice already. In 4th position, Manchester United. Manchester United so far have been quiet. Obviously, they've a couple of days ago they're in talks, or they've actually almost finished the deal for Donny van de Beek. He's a very good player from Ajax. I'm surprised other clubs didn't go for him because he's very talented. He's very good in the defensive and attacking department. Some people compare him to Frank Lampard the way he plays, because he scores goals but also knows his defensive responsibilities. So it's a good signing, but I think they need to sort out their defense, find the right partner for Maguire, and a left back as well. But I really like the goalkeeping positions, that they have very good competition, Dade and Dean Henderson. So it'll be interesting to see who will be number 1 and what will happen next season if any of them leave, if they don't get enough game time. But personally, I think they'll finish 4th, because I think other 3 teams I'll mention later on in the video have done much better business and be much quick in the business, or already have a good squad. So I think Manchester United needs some signings, and if they do, they might push for even a better position than 4th. At 3rd position, you might be surprised, Liverpool. I think I'm very surprised that Liverpool hasn't strengthened that much, because it might be overconfidence. I think they're making the same mistakes that Chelsea made. I'll give you a Chelsea example. When we won the league under Mourinho in 14-15, the next season we didn't buy any players. We went with the same squad. We only signed 1 or 2 players. We got Pedro. That's a panic buy. Well, it wasn't a panic buy, but it was like the media forcing us. It was like an urgent buy. Even though Pedro is a wonderful player and done wonderful things for Chelsea, but it was an urgent buy. Then they signed some Dillaboji player and the centre back who I never heard of in my life. But I think that's the mistake Chelsea made. They never improved their squad after winning the title. If you don't improve the squad after winning the title, you just drop. Because season by season, the standard of the Premier League is increasing. So if you don't improve your squad and your depth overall, then you'll struggle. Because I don't think Liverpool have a massive challenge in terms of they'll pose a challenge, but they won't be the title race won't be much closer than it was last season. It wouldn't be like Liverpool ahead by 20 points, 15 points. I think it's because Manchester City was slacking, and the likes of Chelsea and Man United didn't spend much. Even the Man United spent much, but Chelsea couldn't because of the transfer ban. So I'm surprised. It was news of them getting Thiago from Bayern Munich, which will be a great signing for them, but I think they need another striker to back up Firmino, and they need another centre-back, because if Van Dijk gets injured or Joe Gomez gets injured, Dejan Lovren has already left, so who will you bring in? So it's something to think about for Jurgen Klopp. I don't think they'll defend their title, and I think it will be a drop-off this season. At number 2, I think it will be Chelsea. I think Chelsea has spent very well and wisely in the summer transfer window. I like the way they've gone about their business. They've been very positive, made very good signings. Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech. Hakim Ziyech was signed way before. Timo Werner signed before the transfer window opened as well. Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell. These are all brilliant signings. And we signed Malang Sarr, who we loaned out to get more experience, of course. That makes sense, because you need to allow a player to get more experience, generally, get some game time under his belt and see how he plays. Then we can introduce him to the Chelsea squad next season. I was a bit 50-50 because I thought we were going to play him in the Premier League this season because our defence is weak. But I think Frank Lampard has been smart, and seeing that he needs some more game time, then we can actually introduce him, or like play him in the Premier League or for Chelsea next season, the season after this one that's coming up. So I think we've done really well as Chelsea. I think we're huge favourites for the title, to be very honest. But I still think that it will be tough competition. Obviously, Manchester City will be at the top, as I'll just say, because I think they've got wonderful squad depth, because if one gets injured, they can just replace, and So Obviously, it will take time to the likes of Werner, Ziyech to adapt, and obviously they need to cope with the pace and power of the Premier League. And I'm pretty sure they will, but I think they need one season under their belts to get to adapt and get used to the physical demands of the Premier League. And once they do, I think they'll be wonderful players for Chelsea, hopefully, inshallah. So this is Chelsea finishing second in my opinion. Obviously, at first I'll say Manchester City. They'll be looking to bounce back after losing their title to Liverpool last season. Obviously, they would look to strengthen defensively because their attacking was fine going last season. The attack was fine. I think defensively they struggled a lot, and that cost them the title. And there's talks of them getting Koulibaly, and if they do, I think he'll be a very, very good defender for them and have a good partnership with Laporte. And they've got Ake as well, Nathan Ake, which I'm sad that Chelsea didn't go for him. But I still think he's an average defender, but I think Chelsea should have went for him in the transfer window, which we didn't, because I think we had that buyback option, but Chelsea didn't take it, so it expired going back to the season before last. So I think Manchester City will regain the title, with Chelsea giving them stiff competition and Liverpool. Obviously, Chelsea will be adapting under a new team. I think we should be challenging for silverware like the other competitions, the League Cups, and in Europe. I hope we give a better showing, because in Europe we haven't been good at all. I think we've finished in the last 16 for the last 3 to 4 times we've qualified from the Champions League, which is not good enough for a club of Chelsea stature. We should be being in semi-finals, finals, and winning trophies, competing for silverware and winning trophies and getting trophies under our belt as Chelsea Football Club. But I think Manchester City will be very motivated to regain their title because of the way they lost it last season, and I'm pretty sure they will, because they're a very good team and have a very good manager in Pep Guardiola. And yeah, this is my overall prediction. I think Manchester City will win the title, and Crystal Palace, Aston Villa and Fulham will get relegated. Hopefully when I reflect this come May, all of these predictions are fine, and actually some are actually close and accurate, in fact. So overall, I know that some of you might disagree or agree with my predictions, but that's life, huh? Obviously everyone doesn't agree with everything, and everyone has their own opinions and perspective about things. So this is my Premier League 2020-2021 Premier League table prediction. Please share your 2020-21 Premier League table prediction in the comment section below, and I'll be very interested in see what you guys think, which team will finish where, and why. But obviously it's interesting to see opinions of other people, what they think and what they think where the teams will finish. So this is my overall thinking about my 2020-21 Premier League table prediction. So please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to give your opinions in the comment section below. Take care guys, thank you for watching my video.